You made a comment with regards to the Jonesboro Road corridor where before it was slated commercial. And then there was a transition from commercial to multifamily. I guess what my concern would be is that, so now you're having to increase capacity to be able to deal with that. But developers have to get a letter from the Water Authority saying that you have capacity. If you don't have the capacity, then why are you issuing the letters saying that you have capacity if you really don't have capacity?
So for that, we did have capacity, but we were approaching capacity much quicker than we thought. So that's why the need to upsize that line. And the main point just being, it was a project that wasn't really forecast, and it just kind of got moved up, actually got added and then moved up to our CIP.
So I guess from a perspective of us communicating and working together, specifically with our planning and zoning, is that we just want to make sure that we never get to capacity where we're in trouble, as opposed to, I mean, if you don't have the capacity, I would rather you say you don't have the capacity and it's going to take X amount of years. So if it's not on your plan currently and it's down the road, say in 2 years or 3 years for your CIP, then you have to let us know. So I'm just trying to figure out from a standpoint of when it's okay to say no.
Yeah, very good question. Okay, yeah, very good question. That one project that Scott mentioned, that was just an example. Particularly what happened in that area of Jonesboro Road, there was a lot of requests for rezoning all at one time. And typically what we do is we issue a letter and we give, that letter's good for 365 days. Sometimes those developments don't happen within that time frame. Sometimes they do. In this example, a lot of development happened real quick in that area. So one of the things we do not want to do when we start saying no, we're basically saying there is a moratorium on growth. And you know, you issue that if you really can't react to it. In this case, we saw it coming. We're not behind the 8 ball right now. Those lines are undersized. They're not at capacity right now, but let's just say in about 1.5 years or 2 years, they will be. So we saw that, and we didn't want to wait until we did a 2025 CIP master plan. We came to the board and say, hey, we see this coming. We ran it on the model, and we saw that we got to react. So that's typically what we do, but very often, well, I wouldn't say very often, but from time to time, we do have developments that come in to where we may have an adequately sized sewer line that runs along a creek, and then there's a trunk line. Let's just say it's an 8-inch line, and someone's doing a high mixed-use development, and there's another one right next door to it, and that 8-inch line may need to be a 12-inch line. The authority does not pay for that. We do tell them that we do not have capacity, but capacity can be made available if you upsize a line for your development. That's typically how we handle those.
Okay. And then I guess the second question that I have is with regards to as we continue to grow, and is there anything that's a part of your CIP plan that deals with additional sewer in areas that don't have sewer? And if not, what would it take for us to get there, or can we get there?
So yes, and we're doing that in this master plan. We have identified a number of areas in the county that we see a lot of interest. And so we've tasked the consultant with I'd probably say there's a handful of areas in the county that we know there's interest. Please incorporate that into this master plan of how we would sewer it if they do desire this location. So,
So how are how can we put this back on the developer?
so like Tony mentioned, if it's of a certain size or below that size, that's a developer-specific driven project and not a system project. So it would be on the developer.
So I think part of this is we have system improvement projects and we have developer-driven projects. So a system project may be, for example, if we have in the CIP and we look at an area and say that we're anticipating that there's going to be growth that's going to require a 12-inch or 16-inch water line. So let's say there's a developer that comes in and now they want to do and usually we kind of try to do our planning based off the county's comprehensive land use plan. So if there's something outside of that we have not planned for, we're not improving our system, and the development is going to impact that, and it needs to go from, say, a 12 to a 20-inch line or 12 to a 16-inch line. That developer is tasked to pay the difference in upsizing that.
Okay, I mean, I'm just thinking as, you know, we grow, and if people want to come here and build, I think that they should invest. And so, you know, I think, I don't know if there's a way to help pass some of this cost on to developers that are looking to come into our area.
Yes,
And so,
ma'am. And to piggyback on that, we do have a component in our CIP master plan. It's called system expansion projects, where it's not necessarily an improvement to our system, but we think that a developer may come in later and extend it before we're ready. And we're kind of dealing with that now at Reeves Creek up there off of Flippin Road, where we've had a 24-inch sewer line to go across the interstate over to serve the area just north of Walt Stevens Road. That's the Carriage Lake, Aberdeen. We've got 3 wastewater lift stations over there that are limiting the capacity that they pump the sewer to. So, but we're not at capacity yet, but now there's a development that's coming in and they're wanting sewer service. So part of that is, okay, they're needing it sooner than we're planning to do it. So they're going to be participating by putting in and donating the easements for the section of line going through their development. So it's a win-win for us and a win-win for the developer. And we've got several areas throughout the county where we've identified potential system expansion projects in our CIP.
okay. Any questions from any of the commissioners? Okay. Thank you all.